Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hey, y'all, it's Gail Trico and Christina Nelson. And Chris, what day of the week is it and how are we?
You know what? It's 5 o'clock somewhere and it's Friday, baby. Where's my cocktail? I'm starting early.
I've got some iced tea over here I've been sipping on for a while. So
I'm working on my coffee. Then comes the cocktails, okay?
I hear you. I hear you. Welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about a topic near and dear to my heart and something that I spend hours doing for clients every week. Surprise medical billing. How many of you have ever had to go to the hospital, even to get your tonsils out as a kid, but as an adult, medical bills are pushing people over the top and disabling them to survive, even with health insurance or Medicare or Medicaid. So, Chris, you've got a great story about a $72,000 urgent care bill. Can you share a little bit of that with us without disclosing a patient's name?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a friend. She's an RN, and we won't disclose names. She had a serious stomach issue, very serious, catastrophic, and she was dehydrating, and her vitamin intake wasn't absorbing. It was just a big old mess, right?
Yeah.
So she goes to a type of an urgent care, and I cannot tell you what it was because I can't remember, but it was where you go just for maybe a day or two for IVs and things like that. So she went in there, and they gave her an IV and some vitamin IVs, and she had to stay, I believe, a day and a half. So her and her husband got a bed in there because her husband stayed with her because he was scared, of course, and you want to be with your loved one. So they stayed there for less than 48 hours. She got her IVs and other things that she needed, whatever it was, food, and he ate as well. And they got their bill, and pretty much they have to pay all of it, $72,000.
Do you want me to lay down on the floor and kick and scream now, or has she already done that? Because she's a nurse.
Pretty much, she's a nurse, but she's lost a lot of work because of her illness. She's lost her stomach now. She's had surgery. And so she's only on liquid diet for the rest of her life. But the thing about it is they are catastrophically devastated because of the medical bills, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And there's nothing they can do.
New legislation in the United States went into effect January 1st, 2021, and this is for hospitals only, are required to post a user-friendly version of every item that they may bill a patient for and every service they offer on their websites. Well, do you really think they're all doing it?
No, they didn't.
No, they're not.
No,
they're not. So, the offices of Medicare and Medicaid, or, CMS is supposed to be, quote, doing some quality assurance audits. And if they find a hospital that's not in compliance with providing this information on their website, that hospital faces a financial penalty.
Right.
Well, hospitals don't really want to disclose what they're charging for an item. And you and I both know there's changes every day in items coming into hospital stock.
Can you stop there real quick and let me interject? Give people an idea of what they're being charged. Like, let's say a Band-Aid.
You're being charged for a Band-Aid. You're being charged for each administration of Tylenol, and that's usually about $750 for 650 milligrams of Tylenol in a hospital. Fentanyl, which is frequently used for operating room prep, as sedation. It's also used during OR, 1 to 2 milligram administrations. You may end up with a total of 8 to 12 milligrams, depending on how long the procedure is, administered by an anesthesiologist, $4,000 per milligram on average in the U.S. Yeah, a bag of IV antibiotics could be anywhere from $1,200 to $8,000. You come in, maybe you got a nail in your hand, and you got a swollen place here on your hand, and they go, oh my God, we need to give you some Rocephin or some Zosyn. Well, you don't know how many thousands of dollars that bag is going to be until you get your bill. It's not like anybody's got time to go, oh, let me run to a hospital website before they're going to put that IV in your arm. How much is that bag of fluid?
Right. Nobody asks. You just...
No,
right.
500 to 1,000 bag liter fluids, probably average $500. They're going to charge you for the line. They're going to charge you for every needle that's used. They charge you for a urinal. They charge you for bedpan. That plastic pitcher in your hospital room, there's a charge for that. They charge you for every single thing you touch in a hospitalization. So all of this is supposed to be listed on these hospital websites.
I have to ask, is this to me seems illegal, but okay, it's America, right? Do they do this in all countries?
No.
Is it this way in Canada? Is it this way in Europe?
No.
Give us an example.
Canada's health care is paid for by the government, but they're also taxed at 40% of their income in Canada. And in Canada, there's a wait list at hospital if you're diagnosed with, for example, ovarian cancer, and you need to have tumors removed, you need a hysterectomy. You're put on a wait list for surgery. You may wait several months. I'm not knocking the Canadian healthcare system because I've traveled to Canada a lot, and there are wonderful physicians in Canada, but you have to wait. In the United States, at least you have the option to seek availability of a healthcare practitioner. But the first thing they're going to ask you when you call to make an appointment, it's not just to schedule the appointment. They're going to say, what kind of insurance do you have?
I went through that yesterday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you tell them you don't have insurance, they may not schedule that appointment. So you may have to look for another facility that will work with you to set up a payment plan. So patients got the diagnosis of a critical illness. We're going to use cancer, for example, since those are many of the patients I work with. Right now, we've got a lot of COVID long haulers that need ongoing medical care. So what do you do?
Right on.
What do you do? You're going to have to find, if you do not have health insurance, you don't have Medicaid or Medicare, you're going to be what's called a self-pay patient. You may be able to go to healthcare.gov and get something now because President Biden has that open again. And everybody should be smart enough, y'all. Everybody needs health insurance. I don't care how young you are and how well you are.
Right.
You need at least catastrophic medical insurance.
Mm-hmm. I know somebody that just happened to. Mm-hmm.
You can get on the, Health and Human Resources websites. There are criteria to be met to apply for emergency Medicare and emergency Medicaid. Medicaid is the one that is going to kick you out and call you not eligible if you own a home and you own a car. So, there are ways to avoid some of this. And I hope all of y'all are sitting up on the edge of your chair taking quick notes. Because you can intervene and stop a lot of this if you spend $500 and hire an attorney before you get sick. This is today. Maybe you've got a mild diagnosis of diabetes. Today, you need to look for a lawyer, and you can set up, it's a type of an asset protection plan. You can move the title. You can move the title to your house into somebody else's name. You're still making the mortgage payment. There are protection clauses. And if it's 5 years prior to when you need to apply for emergency Medicaid or emergency Medicare, they cannot make you sell that house.
That's right.
Cannot make you sell that car. So I hope all y'all are listening. And if you need an attorney referral, contact us. We've got referrals in pretty much all 50 states. I contact Lambda Legal in Atlanta. I really like working with LGBTQ attorneys. They are go-getters and their fees are a lot less than the good old boys sitting in their office with 10 partners. Now, mind you, I've got some good old boys in Atlanta that I work with and have for about the last 20 years, but I was their first client when they opened that practice. Right. So that was before they are the big firm they are now. So that's
good advice.
Well, it is. So y'all think about it. You're talking about, when I grew up, it was always a shyster lawyer because they were the ones that lived in the nice houses in the small community that we lived in. I grew up in a poor white trash family, and I'll just tell you right now, we didn't have a pair of shoes to wear during the week in the summer while we were out of school. We had a pair to wear to church because we worked on the farm and worked in the tobacco fields. So I've been there, done that. I'm not telling you I grew up with no health insurance, no Medicaid, and I had pneumonia every year, probably from the time I was in 8th grade until I graduated high school, because we only had heat in one room in our house, in the kitchen. My grandparents built that house, so if y'all can imagine what a monstrosity that was. There was no insulation. There were some 2x4s and some plywood, and then on the other side of that was the outside. So if it was 27 degrees outside, it was probably 29 in that house.
Right.
So, go ahead, Chris.
No, I was going to say, you gave some awesome advice with, getting these expensive items, your home, your cars, out of your name into maybe one of your kids's or someone you trust.
Somebody that you trust now. Yes.
Exactly.
Somebody that you trust.
Absolutely. And it's easily done because it's happened in my family. I have a friend, and this is what happened to them. You know who I'm talking about. He was young. Okay. He's 34 years old, 35 years old. He had no idea, he's like most of you young folks that are listening. I'm, invincible. I'm not going to get sick. Nothing catastrophic is going to happen to me. I'm not paying for insurance. I need that extra $45, extra $100 in my check every month, right? That's what you think when you're young, because I remember thinking that when I was young. I don't need insurance. Well, guess what? He did that. I don't need insurance kind of thing. He's over, what was it, $700,000 in debt for the rest of his life and has no credit because he had a catastrophic event. He had an aneurysm?
A cerebral aneurysm, Chris, which is very serious. Yeah.
It is very serious. And that boy like to die. And he will never for the rest of his life be out of debt because he made a bad decision. And let me tell you something. He's making the right decisions now. So don't wait, right?
That's right. And, often what we do is we think, I'll get to it tomorrow. Well, more than a year has gone by during the pandemic. People have been saying, I'm going to get to this tomorrow. You've been home, do a little bit of homework. I'm not lazy. I get up between 4 and 5 o'clock every morning. I really do 7 days a week. You have to be responsible for yourself. Some of you don't want to hear that, but I say this to patients every day. What do you want to do and what do you want for the outcome of your treatment? For patients with end-stage disease, like very late-stage Alzheimer's, cancer patients who may have failed multiple treatments, and if your oncologist says to you, he sits down, he needs to be sitting down when he talks to you. If he's standing up, on and looking at the door, you need another doctor because he's not interested and he doesn't care. Right. And I'll be the first one to tell you when I walk in a room, I can tell you if that doctor's worth 2 cents or not. I work with some wonderful, wonderful oncologists across the U.S., and they deliver messages from their heart to their patients. They're as sad as the family is when they have to tell the patient, we don't have any further treatment options to offer you. Well, when that comes around, what does that patient do? You can look on clinicaltrials.gov, and that has any clinical trial, phase 1 through 3, that is being conducted at an investigational study site. That's a hospital, private doctor's office, like Sarah Cannon up in Nashville, Emory University here in Atlanta. Your local hospital may have a research department. If there's a drug that's in investigational stages, that protocol will be listed on clinicaltrials.gov and tell you where the doctors are located in the United States, where you maybe can call their office, you call their nurse and say, you know what? I have, for example, hemophilia. I would like to come to see this doctor to be considered for this gene therapy drug. Well, medications in clinical trials are generally free unless it's a comparative, like, for example, a chemo medication. Your insurance, somehow somebody's going to have to pay for this. Occasionally, the pharmaceutical company might pay for it. Other treatments in clinical trials are generally paid for patients, including their imaging. So, they may want it done sooner. Well, if they do, if they think that patient's got disease progression, then insurance, and generally cancer patients have already gone on to Medicare or emergency Medicaid, some type of thing. Some folks were smart and they kept their insurance when they retired. As long as you can keep it, y'all, let me tell you something. Make those insurance payments. Insurance companies are not your friend, but if you pay that bill, they got to step up to the plate at some point in time.
Absolutely.
So when that doctor says, we don't have any more treatment options to offer you, it's not, I'm talking to families now that have sick family members. Do not make this patient feel bad or sad if they say, you know what, I've had enough. I've had enough of chemo side effects. I want to go to Hawaii. I want you to rent an RV and drive me on Route 66 for 2 weeks. You know what? Find the money and go rent that RV and take them on a trip. Maybe they just want to go maybe they want to go rent a cabin in Dollywood for the weekend. Maybe they just want to go fishing at the lake. Yeah, it's up to this patient. They've got, say, 12 weeks or less time left in this physical body to enjoy their time on this earth and the things they love and to be with the people that they love to be with.
Right.
I hope that makes complete sense because it's a song I sing every day.
It you know what, it does make sense, but there's still it's still families out there that are catastrophically ruined and will never see daylight again. I mean, I hear of suicides and depression, severe depression. Now, this is where something else comes into effect. So because of this family that has these catastrophic bills that they will never, for the rest of their lives, be out from under. His parents are elderly, and they will never be out from underneath these medical bills. And it's weighed very, very hard on the mother. Very hard. So her mental illness has really gotten worse. And mental illness is an epidemic in this country. And, there's an imbalance in the brain that causes severe depression and other things that goes on. Bipolar, whatever it may be. She can't get, because of her insurance, she's on Medicare and Humana, a type of PPO.
Yeah.
I made so many phone calls trying to get her in to get help with a psychologist, somebody that can prescribe her medications, because MDs in this country, her doctor, most MDs, and you know this, Gail, in this country are not trained for mental illness. They throw pills at you, and it's making her worse. And she's in really bad shape. Now she's becoming agoraphobic, which is where she don't want to leave her home. And she's in severe depression. So I've stepped up, and a friend of mine has stepped up and trying to get her some help. We cannot find anyone that will take her insurance, and they charge $280 an hour. What are we going to do, Gail? She is in a bad place. What are we going to do?
Well, it sounds like she's probably not on the right medications, Chris, that's what it sounds like. That, or she has breakthrough depression and needs some type of medication to support what she's prescribed. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just telling you based on my experience working with patients. A lot of cancer patients are depressed. And who wouldn't be?
Right.
Who wouldn't be?
There's a lot of things that can depress you, but you sometimes need to reach out and get help.
But our
insurances don't cover.
Now, there was recently a research paper published, and I think Dr. Kalusian mentioned this last week. The top reason for bankruptcy in the United States is medical bills. One of the top reasons for suicide in the United States are medical bills.
Right.
That ought not to be in this country.
No.
Ought not to be. And I'm telling you, I go to the post office every day when I'm not traveling to mail out certified letters to the credit bureaus, to the insurance company, to hospitals. We report medical billing issues to the Federal Trade Commission. We report it to the State Insurance Commission, where in the state where that patient lives. It's only through bringing about awareness that there are issues still going on. That's why the surprise medical billing legislation supposedly is supposed to help. Well, I haven't seen a patient yet that helped. I'm not being pessimistic. I'm just telling you the real story from the calls coming into our office. So
Absolutely.
What are we going to do? People need to, if you're on Medicare, you need a very good Medigap policy. And the only way to find a good one is, AARP has some great programs on their website. And if you're 50 or up, you can.
Yeah, Humana is supposed to be one of the best.
Yeah, it is supposed to be. So United Healthcare is probably the largest one in the United States, because I purchased one for my sister 2 years ago when she went on disability. And I purchased it through AARP. So it's a big group discount. The best thing you could do for yourself is to find an insurance agent. I have somebody up in Michigan we can refer you to that can help you select a Medigap policy. Her name is Leisha West. I don't have her. It's the West Insurance Group, and I think she's in Madison. She's in Michigan. She's in one of these cold places where I'm not going, outside of Detroit. Yeah.
Give her name again, because people, this is important. Trust me.
Leisha West. I'm sorry she's not even here with us today, but she's at Notre Dame, so she's probably at the university today. So and people think, oh my God, I can't afford to hire an insurance broker. Well, how can you not afford to hire an insurance broker? Okay, so maybe you pay somebody $150, but they may save you from a catastrophe with pointing you in the right direction of the type of policy you need. One thing that regularly and routinely does not come with Medigap policies is dental. Everybody needs dental. You need to go get your teeth cleaned every 6 months. That impacts your health. And if you wear dentures, don't give me that nonsense. Y'all still need dental insurance for dentures. So don't even give me that nonsense. Some people say, oh, give me that glass over there. They come in the exam room, the hospital, and they take their teeth out, put them in. It doesn't bother me anymore. I've seen it all at this point in time.
Right. Oh, what? Oh, here.
Yeah. So if you can just imagine, it makes me laugh. So many things are funny that people take seriously. But I think the serious thing is that, let me show you a good record. I have a course online, and this is not to make me rich, because I spent the last 10 years perfecting the art of negotiating medical bills. And let me tell you something. I can negotiate a medical bill. This is a file that I set up, and this is just one. This is something for my home. And it was for a four-wheeler that my sons bought, it would have been 5 years ago. Well, I applied the principles in Medical Bill 911 to get a $1,000 refund from a company called the Torque Group. Because when you go into a power sports place, now this might be a little off the topic, but I'm just showing y'all this works. I sent them a letter and I said, y'all owe me $999 because we never had any repairs made to this four-wheeler. This was purchased at Freedom Power Sports in McDonough, Georgia. And I hope y'all are listening to this call today, because now you're famous. I called them up, and I called up the Torque Group, and they go, oh, they never sent us. The paperwork was never transferred the day that we purchased the four-wheeler. So 5 years had gone by. Somebody was drawing interest on my $999. Well, here's the stack of letters that girlfriend here wrote. I called up this place in McDonough, and I said, look, who's your CEO? I need to send him a copy of this letter. Well, the lady didn't want to give me his name. Well, girlfriend, I got Google. So it took me about 5 minutes to find it. And their corporate headquarters was in Austin, Texas. Well, I sent her a letter. I sent him one, and there's the letter from the Torque Group telling me, oh, they didn't transfer all this paperwork. Well, I filed a complaint with the Better Business Bureau, because here are the BBB letters coming back to me from Atlanta. I filed a copy of the complaint with the Federal Trade Commission in Washington, D.C., 600 Pennsylvania Avenue. You can find all these addresses on the internet. Guess what I got in the mail 14 days later? There's a copy of the check stub, y'all. Let me get it up where you can see it. $999 these people sent me back. So
that's a shut up check.
It might have been a shut up check.
Job.
They owed me $999, and they didn't want a complaint to stay on their record with Better Business Bureau. Same thing applies to medical bills. You got debt collectors. Maybe you had wisdom teeth removed for one of your kids 15 years ago, and the bill's in your name. Well, all of a sudden, last week, you get a bill for the balance that maybe you couldn't finish paying the doctor. There's a statute of limitations in every state on how long somebody can come after you for a bill. All you got to do is go to Google. Now, I know some of y'all folks might not have Google, but you got somebody in their family that does, or you got a neighbor that does. So what you need to do is Google, what is the statute of limitations for an unpaid medical bill? In the state of Georgia, it's 6 years. So, if you live in Atlanta and you had your kids' wisdom teeth removed 15 years ago, now this third-party group has come and purchased this, quote, unpaid debt from this dental office. You ain't giving them $1. You're not going to give them $1. You're going to send them a letter. You're going to send it by certified mail. You're also going to send it to all 3 credit bureaus in case they've tried to report this without your knowledge. That's called debt parking. And you're going to tell them this bill is disputed and you are in violation of, you cut and paste those codes of the statute of limitation from your state website. You're going to put it in that letter. Send them first class mail, So I think the certified mail with a return receipt, you get an electronic receipt where you can go online and then print it out and download it, $5.60. You're going to send that same certified letter to the Federal Trade Commission. You're filing a complaint with the Consumer Affairs Division, is what it's called. You can just put that one in regular U.S. mail because they're in their office in Washington, and they're going to open it when the post office delivers it. You're also going to file it with your state insurance commission and the Attorney General's office in your state. So you're going to have about 5 to 6 letters when you go mail these. But guess what? You've done your diligence to yourself, because you know what? You forgive yourself. If you couldn't pay the bill, there's a reason for it. It's not like you ever expected the wisdom teeth removal to be free. That's what you're going to do with all your medical bills. It's not easy. It takes time, but y'all got $30 to spend on some postage. I mean, you do. If it's $5 a letter and you send out 6 letters, that's $30.
Right.
Look at Chris.
Absolutely.
Did you write all that down?
No, I want to. No, seriously, I wanted to ask you. So we had a medical bill that came back just recently, and it was the weirdest thing. And I'm like, what? I didn't even realize that I even still owed on this bill. It wasn't much, $180 or something. But anyway, it was from a law firm and said that I have to show up in court. But I'm like, F you, threw it away. What is that?
Well, they will.
Have you seen those? I think it was scams.
Some of them are scams. You need to Google it though, Chris, because you're in the state of Texas.
We did. We looked it up.
Was it a scam?
Yeah, I think most of them are. They say it's a scare tactic, basically, is what it was.
Well, some of them will actually. Some good old boy lawyer can go to some of these judges and get you for contempt of court. If it tells you that you have to show up, you may need to show up. So, that's a lesson learned. But the problem is they probably bought that debt from somebody else.
It was in California. I'm in Texas.
Yeah. Oh, you ain't going to court in California.
No.
Not gonna do it. Come on, knock on your door for $180.
Are you nuts? Right.
Yeah. So a lot of them are scams, but this debt is being sold to these third-party debt collection agencies. And you guys, that's just, and I'm gonna say it, that's a bunch of crooks. There's a place up in Newtown, Ohio called the Cattle Corporation. They are no good. They are purchasing when somebody's house is foreclosed on. Maybe they had a home equity loan. These people purchased that home equity loan, even though that house has been foreclosed on. They are going to charge them and come and collect that home equity loan plus 50% more. So if it was $20,000, you're going to have to pay these people back $40,000. They are relentless in court, and they are the most aggressive collection firm I have ever seen. Even
some
with an attorney.
Aggressive.
Yeah, they're gonna take it to court. They're gonna try to file for a FIFA where the sheriff can come and legally take anything out of your house he wants to and sell it. So
something's wrong. That's not right. I'm sorry, that is not right. Something needs to be changed.
And people lose their home because of medical bills, sick kids with medical bills, spouse with medical bills. It's
every day. We would have lost
every single day. So it's somewhere in the United States, there is such a breakdown in our system. Even this new legislation is not protecting the people that need it. The blue collar workers. Another problem with Medicaid and Medicare, and some of you may have heard me tell this story, is trying to get a patient admitted to a nursing home. That has mild, and I'm going to call it unspecified dementia, that's not been worked up by a psychiatrist.
Right.
Once they're in the hospital for up to 28 days, they want to discharge them. Well, and this is in Georgia now. I'm talking to y'all social workers out there not doing your job, answering emails, returning phone calls. Y'all know who I'm talking to because you hear my big mouth on the phone at least one day a week. Yeah, they do. I don't care. In a number of counties surrounding Atlanta.
She's a bulldog, people. She's a bulldog.
Well, yeah, but what's happening is these patients, they send them to any nursing home with a bed in it. They keep bouncing them around. Maybe they get pneumonia. They send them back to a hospital. They bounce them to another. And these are state-supported facilities. So they're not the highly skilled facilities. I'm sorry if y'all work there and you don't like that comment, but that's just the way it is.
Right.
Just based on what we're seeing with patient care. Well, what they're doing with most dementia patients in the state of Georgia, they are sending them to hospice. If the patient's combative at all, on the psychotropic medications they're on, they just want to keep them sedated in the bed. They don't want them to get up. So they can't even scratch their nose. Their wrists are tied to the bed. So there's a lot of bruising. As you age, your skin gets thinner.
Yep.
If they're on blood thinners, their arms are black and blue, for 12 inches up and down. And the most recent patient that I have, and I actually went with him to the emergency room. The family called me and they said, the daughter did. I went over, I knew he had pneumonia, took my stethoscope with me. So I called the ambulance from their home and went with him to the ER. I told the ER doc, I said, oh, you need to go ahead and request a bed for him. He's got pneumonia. He goes, you don't have any say in this. Well, that's about all he needed to tell me. And I was mad. I said, yes, I do have a say in this because the daughter's on her way and she's not here. Well, they admitted him and he had mild dementia, but he died in 5 months from the date he was hospitalized. The day I went with him with the ambulance transport to a hospital in Stockbridge, Georgia. Within 5 months, he expired in the Georgia system in hospice.
Oh, no.
And they call the diagnosis failure to thrive, y'all. When patients stop eating or drinking, there's a reason. He was laying there tied to a bed, heavily sedated with psychotropic medications in the state of Georgia. I called every TV station in Atlanta. Well, he was a blue-collar worker on Medicare, didn't have Medigap. I could not get a reporter to cover that story so that people know what the outcome's going to be.
They need to know. They covered my dad's story, but they won't. That's, oh, my God. This country, we need help. People that are listening that can make a difference, please contact us. Because I'm going to tell you something.
Go ahead.
Listen to this story. Mary just brought this in to me. She's on a Alexa scan because we're doing our heart workups because we're at that age, right? When you get to a certain age, you need to go have these workups to make sure everything's okay, that your heart's ticking and your kidneys are getting all the functions. So Mary and I just went in for our every 2 or 3 year heart workups, and it's extensive, okay? But we have pretty good insurance. Well, Mary had hers done at the hospital, so because she works there, she's a CAT scan tech. She didn't have to pay. Thank you, Jesus, for that. She had Lexiscan, and I think that's where they put an IV in you and your heart goes 100 miles an hour. It's kind of like the treadmill test, but it's chemically done. She had that test done, and I think it takes maybe 3 minutes for that test, and you're done. She got the bill, but she didn't have to pay it. Thank you, Jesus. $26,000.
Oh my God. Well, they're not doing that test for people that just have routine Medicaid, Medicare. And if your insurance won't cover it, they're not going to do it. So they're going to do what's standard of care. You're going to do the cardiac monitor where you take it home for 24 hours.
She's on that now.
Treadmill. Yeah.
Right. That she didn't want the treadmill, so she did the chemical.
Yeah.
26. What?
For
Gail, really, Gail? Something's wrong. Come on.
Well, I think people have to get mad. I'm not talking about me because I don't make the medical bills. People have to be concerned enough with the system to start communicating with senators and, whoever you have access to. You can make phone calls. Pretty much everybody's got a cell phone. You call Washington, you call your local senators.
I've done it.
They all have offices in your state, in varying cities around the city that you live in. You got to tell them what's wrong.
Let me tell you something. You're right. Because when my dad died, he was killed in a nursing home. Okay.
Yes.
When he died 2 years ago, I called the governor's office. I emailed people. I wanted changes, and things are starting to change because I made a difference. I made that step. I was a voice for my father. And that's what I mean, people. You can be a voice. I'm sorry, I'm shaking my table because I get excited. You can be a voice. All you have to do is Google your governor's office. There's phone numbers. There's emails. It's easy. It's crazy. Send your damn medical bills to your governor.
Yeah, send a copy.
They're going to get back to you. Send your bill to them and say, this is not right. We need to make a change. How am I going to pay this, Mr. Abbott, who is our governor? What am I going to do? Help me.
Probably the most responsive governor I've had any interaction with in the United States is Governor John Bell Edwards for the state of Louisiana. He actually will listen and have somebody from his office call people back or even send somebody out to make a visit.
The White House called me. The White House called me. I'm not even kidding you guys. When my father died, I got a phone call when I was sitting at Applebee's.
How long did it take, Chris, for Washington to call you?
Not very long. I probably got the phone call within 6 months after my dad's death. A woman called me from the White House. She was the number one person for the VA administrative, and she works right straight out of the White House. I sat there and talked to her because they want to make a difference for the VAs, and they wanted to hear my story. I was like, oh my God. So I'm telling you guys, just be a voice. That's it. It's so simple.
The other thing you can do, and you have to decide how much information you want to share. You can be very generic, what you share with your local television stations. Call up that favorite reporter that you've been watching for the last 30 years at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Give them something real to talk about versus pandemic and politics.
Call them and say, my wife had a catastrophic illness. How am I going to pay my portion of $980,000? I need help.
Yeah.
And then the news lady's going to go, whoa, what? Yeah. I've got to pay $480,000 back out of that $980,000. How am I going to do this? They're going to help you. That's a story. Guess what? Somebody might be listening, Gail. Listen, somebody might be listening that can help them financially, or people like you that can help them with their billing, whatever. Somebody might hear that story. Don't let yourself be devastated.
Most TV stations have an investigative reporter, and most newspapers have investigative reporters. So you may have to give them, some days to respond, but talk to people about it and let them know what the problem is. Y'all, all of it's falling on, your doctors can't solve the problem. I have a hard time with a lot of the very large institutions having a physician call an insurance company. They are expected to see X number of patients a day. And if you call an insurance company and you get off the phone in less than 45 minutes, you better thank your sweet Jesus. That was a short call, because most of that time is spent on hold.
Right.
If they have me on the phone, the rest of the time they're wishing that I wasn't on hold.
And your jam better be elevator music, because you're going to.
And you need to have your thoughts organized. So, Chris, what are some questions that would help the audience about medical billing that we can answer real quick?
What would help the audience about medical billing?
Yeah. What haven't I told people about how to handle a bill that they need to know?
Well, you know what? Look at your bill. Don't just throw it in the drawer or say, I'm not going to pay it. Look at your bill. Look at the details on the bill. If you don't understand it, find somebody that does. Make a phone call. Just call the hospital. Tell them, look, I don't understand this bill at all. I need the proper codes, what each code means. Find out what you're getting billed for. Say, hey, I never got that. What are you talking about? Toothpaste? I never brought home a $90 tube of toothpaste. She never brushed her teeth. So that happened to us.
Yeah.
She was on a ventilator. How the F was she going to brush her teeth?
Yeah.
I brought her stuff from home.
That's right.
That's what you have to do. $80 for a tube of toothpaste that's this big? Really?
And they're going to charge you for shampoo and conditioner and deodorant and soap and all those things. Everybody needs to be organized with your mail. Open the mail when it comes in the mailbox. If you're the patient and you've got a devastating illness, have somebody in the family that is more a matriarch or a patriarch that's got their act together. Open the mail for you so that you don't have that added level of stress. Because every time you go to the doctor's office, they're going to ask you, well, we need to send you up to the billing, and they're going to ask you, give you a check. Well, write them a check for $5 while you're working on getting these bills reconciled. Yeah, $5
it works.
$5 works. I mean, they just want, it's an effort.
Get them off your back for a little while.
Well, you have 180 days from the time a medical bill arrives in your mailbox. You've got 6 months before they're going to post it to your credit report and go after it in collections. So
let me tell you, collections are aggressive as well. So
they're more aggressive now than they were prior to the pandemic.
Let me ask you something, and they are.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, Gail, I've got to ask you this, and I know the audience want to hear this as well. How do we get the bulldogs off the phone? That's what her problem is, my friend. She gets anywhere from, she could get up to 20 phone calls a day right now. And that's why she's going crazy. What can she do?
There's a no-call list. If you type in the no-call directory on Google, this is a United States website, you go enter that telephone number in there. If they keep calling, they are in violation of that do not call directory the United States has set up. Write down the number, find out who they're calling from, get their name and address, and you're going to send them a letter and tell them that they are in violation of that. And then you're going to copy, there should be an address. I don't have it right here, Chris. You're also going to file that complaint with the Federal Trade Commission. You're going to file it with your state insurance commission in the city that you live in. Everybody has one in Atlanta. You know, I'm lucky. We're an hour outside of Atlanta. Ours is in Atlanta. You know, even in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, they have an insurance commissioner. So you need to go to that do not call registry and put your phone number down there. Well, you know, if these idiots want to keep calling, take their number down, and then do you know what you have? You have a top class action. If 5 or more people have had that same collection agency calling them, you can go to topclassactions.com. There's a free link on the right-hand side where it says submit case for attorney review. You type in, you know, the names of the creditors and it's probably more than one for a hospitalization and bills that much. One's probably for imaging. Yeah. So they may all even be trying to collect the same bill if it's been sold off. So there's probably some crossover there, and I'm going to call that dishonesty in that debt collections industry.
Right.
But send that and let a law firm look at it. That's how these top class actions originate.
I'm sorry. I've just got my assistant just came in here and asked me something. Sorry.
That's okay. But everybody, you know, you should also ask for an itemized medical bill to include CPT codes and ICD codes. About a year ago, ICD was updated from ICD-9 to ICD-10, and all the codes are different. Well, most medical billing for most hospitals is outsourced to third-party vendors in the rest of the world. Well, if you want to talk to somebody in the hospital's billing department, the smartest thing you can do is call 9 a.m. to about 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. That should roll to their hospital. If you call after that, it's probably rolling to that vendor. So when somebody answers the phone, and there's nothing wrong with using outside services, you need somebody to speak English, U.S. English, and ask them if it rolls to that call. They're probably going to get angry if you ask them to speak to a representative that speaks U.S. English. They'll say, I do speak English, and you'll think, well, it must be my southern drawl translating this, but I don't understand it. So
right, I get a lot of that with other, not billing, but other things.
Yeah, other companies. So call 9 a.m. to about 3 p.m. Eastern time, and that's if you're in California, still working around those hours so that you're calling in the heart of the day, the heart of the business day. Most businesses, you know, I'm going to guess most of them are operating on Eastern time unless it's truly a Los Angeles or Salt Lake City or Seattle-based institution.
Right.
There are more medical billing errors occurring now. The more that's outsourced to third-party vendors, the more errors
other
there are
countries.
with medical billing codes. Yes.
India's doing it now because I dealt with a few of my friends over here, and they were in India, and I couldn't understand them. It's like,
most of the time they're very polite when you call. You know, they really want to help you. They're so nice when you call, but you know they're paying those workers maybe $3 an hour versus here in the U.S. somebody minimum wage $9 to $10. So that's the reason for it is the cost. But the medical billing errors have increased. So every time an error occurs and it gets sent back to the hospital billing department, it goes back to the vendor. You're in this vicious. It's just a circle of paper going around nowhere. So you're not getting anywhere really fast, and you know your blood pressure goes up. Oh, girl, let me tell you, when I call and speak to a hospitalist, it's a 911 call for me when a practice calls and asks me to call and speak to the hospitalist at an insurance company to get something approved. A patient needs a scan approved. They need a medication approved. They need an extension on a hospital stay, either inpatient or an addiction treatment center. Oh, you don't want to be the person on the other end of that call. because multiple people have already tried to be very kind and call them. Well, I'm just going to point blank spell it out for them. That patient needs to stay there because this physician said maybe they need to monitor their glucose levels. Maybe it's interacting with, with something else. Maybe they need additional cardiac monitoring. So don't take no for an answer, because every medical bill is negotiable. So do not write out checks as soon as it lands in your mailbox. That's the first thing you do not want to do. No, don't do it. All medical bills are negotiable. No, there are endowment funds and charities at hospitals. That money is free. You just have to find it. And if you have a financial need, that's what it's there for. People expire. They donate their entire estate to hospitals and charity, but maybe because they love the care they got at that institution. Well, we've got a hospital in Atlanta with $23 billion sitting in an account to pay children's medical bills. This is one of our children's hospitals. They want to build a new building. So they've got people in need on Medicaid, Medicare, uninsured that need bills paid, and they still haven't been paid in the last 12 months. That's being investigated. Those are public records, and a law firm in Atlanta is reviewing all those records. So somebody did something about it. A reporter for a major Atlanta newspaper wrote an article about it, and guess what? Something's happening. It didn't happen quickly, but it will happen.
Right.
So everybody do your homework. Be organized with your medical bills when they come in. Open the mail. You may be depressed. Yes. Lord have mercy. I'm depressed talking to people before I go to bed at night because I want to make a difference for everybody that calls me. I want to be able to have the answer. And so, right now I'm trying to get in front of Joe Biden. I tried for 4 years to get in front of Donald Trump. So now we're on to the next administration.
Yep. I just have a feeling that if you keep... Right.
Now, I was going to say, it's like, Chris, it's like your dad. They need to hear that story for a veterans approved facility. I don't know if that message ever made it to Trump's office. Biden appears to have a more sympathetic ear to people. So, y'all email the White House. You can write them a letter if you don't have.
It's simple.
Put a regular old stamp on it and mail it. President Joe Biden, White House, Washington, D.C. with a zip code on it. Post office will deliver it if you got postage on it. They do. So
I tell you what, and I've got to interject because that's true. I mailed and I emailed the White House, of course, to Trump, but somebody in Trump's administration saw that letter because they sent it to the White House VA department, whatever. I can't remember. So it worked. And I made a change. I made a difference. Anybody can do it. Simple.
Write a letter to the editor of your local newspaper. Write a letter to the editor of the New York Times. They probably get 1,000 a day, but you know what? Right. Somebody has to read them. So it's learning to use your voice. So as a patient, you are a consumer. Healthcare is a buyer's market. Even if you don't have insurance, you are still a consumer and you have rights. So nobody has the right, no debt collector, to make you feel bad that you didn't have the money to pay a bill or that you may not have it right now. There's dignity for every patient and every family everybody's going to get sick at some point in your life. Everybody's going to need a doctor. Everybody's going to need a hospital. Lord have mercy. I don't look forward to that day because I will be the worst nurse in a hospital. I'll be telling them how to put the IV in or do it myself. But
Mary's a bad patient.
Oh, I am too, Chris. There are 3 D's for medical billing. Duty, you owe it to yourself. Diligence, do your homework. Deliverable, you will get as much effort as you put out, that's what you're going to get back. I just showed y'all that $999 check stub. Took me 14 days to get it. Cost me about $30 in postage. That's one example of applying the techniques from Medical Bill 911. Books available on Amazon. I don't get rich selling books on Amazon. It will never pay my bills. But everything I know was in that book in a concise manner. You can apply it for yourself. So I hope everybody's learned a lot today. This is something Chris and I have worked on for her dad with her wife, Mary, with this case. And it's almost ready to go to court for the last 2 years. Chris will tell you, we have all worked really, really hard. And all of Chris and Mary's efforts have come to fruition with bringing justice to her father's wrongful death and getting all those bills taken care of. So you've got to step up for yourself and stand up for yourself, because you have rights as a U.S. citizen. And if you're an undocumented resident, you need to have health care and you have rights. You're here in this country. So somebody may not agree with that, but you know what? If you're sick, go to the emergency room. They cannot turn you away or reject you because you can't pay that bill at an ER.
Absolutely.
So have confidence. We thank all our healthcare workers in Guatemala and Nicaragua for joining us today. Chris, thanks for putting up with me as your co-host, and our wonderful producer, Roxy. I hope she's gotten a few laughs, because we're in rare form today. So
absolutely.
Y'all, we'll see you next week on Healthcare 911. You can reach Christina Nelson, Intuitive Connection at yahoo.com. And I'm Gail Trico, Gail at medicalbill911.com. And we thank you for joining us. We hope you learned a lot today that you can go back and apply in your life immediately. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye, guys.